Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I wanted to discuss Pizzagate and, kind of make a reminder video of why we're in this fight, why we're trying to get authorities to investigate this stuff, why, there has been a crowdsourced investigation, um, and how it's legitimate. I know, a lot of people got sucked into George Webb, and, he's basically um, he was basically a fraud, and he sucked in a lot of people that really bought what he was selling, and now those people don't know where to take their investigations. And you can follow this investigation can become so broad so quickly, and you can go down the rabbit hole so far that you won't know how to get back. And I understand that. And I've always tried to limit my scope and of investigation, and that's why I stuck mainly to stuff surrounding Laura Silsby, because there was a lot of hard evidence of wrongdoing there. And I think a video like this can get a lot of you guys back on track. And there's a lot of YouTubers even out there that I hope get this video. And there's some very prominent, usually level-headed YouTubers that are very popular that still say to this day there is no evidence at all for Pizzagate. But that's just not the case. There is so much evidence of wrongdoing, within the government, and not everything everybody has investigated has been legitimate. There has been, false information put out there, misinformation, but that's inevitable, when you have a crowdsourced investigation like that, or any investigation really. But there are paths within Pizzagate that are completely legitimate, that there's tons of evidence. And to say there's no evidence, it's just ignorant. And so I hope this reaches some of those YouTubers and at least gets them to stop saying that there's no evidence and, just stay out of the way. Now, for David Seaman specifically, you seem like you're down lately. And if this video reaches you and, you're, you take the time to listen to the whole thing, I think it can remind you of exactly, how much hard evidence is out there, which I know and, that this is actually a fight worth fighting, despite whether authorities have picked it up or not yet. We just have to keep plugging along. So, with that said, I'm going to go basically to a single infographic that was created back in the day by Red Berries. And this is, information I helped uncover. And so I understand this stuff quite a bit. And, well, let's just get into it, shall we? So there was a lot of interesting information with Frank Winstead. Do you guys remember that guy? He was accused. He went to a town meeting and accused comment owner James Alefantis of lying, cheating, stealing, spitting in a customer's food, and encouraging both murderers and rapists. It was this really weird audio thing that we came across. And then there was the Washington City paper, which you can see up here. They were going and basically harassing and confronting Frank Winstead. And in the Washington Post, there was this article where they actually had the audio. So if you click this link, it takes you to these different links here. You click this comment link here, and it takes you to an area where at 32 minutes and 40 seconds in, Michael McCabboy is heard saying, "I will personally remove anyone who opposes Comet Ping Pong." If you remember at the time, they were trying to get some changes to an agreement they had made with the city, and it was going to change their hours and things like that. And Michael McCabboy is a president at the McCabboy Group. And we're going to get into a bunch of relationships and connections here. And he was the leadership consultant of Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. So sorry if I said that wrong, but it's NPH. I don't speak Spanish, but this is NPH. You can even see right here, NPH. And NPH is a home for orphans and at-risk children in Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Peru, Bolivia, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. In Haiti, it also runs a pediatric hospital. So this is NPH USA. You know, if it's based in Mexico, it'll be NPH Mexico. But so basically, NPH, it has a lot of different names. That's the Spanish version. And then if you're saying it in French, because, you know, in Haiti they speak a lot of French Creole, it's NPFS. And it also goes by the English name of Friends of the Orphans. So you'll run into this, to NPH being called many different things. But it's based on the language. It's not a direct translation either. It says Friends of the Orphans, raising children, transforming lives. That's their motto. Now, Michael McCabboy is the father of the son, Max McCabboy. And he's involved with Friends of the Orphans. And he also represented James Alefantis, where he was a counsel for David Brock and James Alefantis. You can see his name right here. He represented Alefantis in basically what was considered as an $850,000 blackmail case, because David Brock or James Alefantis had some, and David Brock, you know, were dating, and they had dirt and on each other, and basically one was blackmailing the other. And so there was an $850,000 settlement in that case. And so then you go and it says Max, or Friends of the Orphans, connects down here with Jorge Puello. Okay? It says alleged Haitian orphans case, attempted child trafficking, or a big misunderstanding. So Van Sosteren of Fox News said, "Where did they find these 33 children? How did they get these children?" Puello, who was the lawyer of Silsby, said there was an orphanage, quote-unquote lawyer anyways, said there was an orphanage that collapsed in Haiti. It was called Friends of the Orphans of Haiti. And there was somebody over there that told them that the orphans had no place, no room to place them. Okay? So then you take that down here. It says trafficking charges for advisor to jailed Americans in Haiti. And the one-time legal advisor who calls himself Jorge Puello, up here, Jorge Puello, now acknowledges that he faces sex trafficking charges in El Salvador under the name Jorge Anibal Torres Puello. This is another common thing. A lot of these people have many, many different aliases. And it says he remained at large on Monday as Dominican, Salvadorian, and American law enforcement officials worked with Interpol to interview his relatives and search border and immigration records to find him. As you can see, here, Jorge Torres Oriana, this is the guy. who was wanted by Interpol. And he was representing Laura Silsby in friends of in the the whole trafficking case in Haiti, where there's a collapse, and he's mentioning a collapse of the Friends of the Orphans in Haiti. Now, it's interesting that he calls it Friends of the Orphans and not NPH or NPFS, because it wasn't called Friends of the Orphans in Haiti. If I remember right, it went by NPFS. Now, here we go down, and it says K. St. Helen Orphanage. Now, this is quite interesting. St. Helen is a home to over 450 orphaned and abandoned children. And so the important thing here is that there's 450. And down here it says there are about 450 children living there at the moment. Okay? Now we go over, and it says Friends of the Orphans and NPH International assessing Haiti earthquake situation and requesting monetary donations to assist rescue efforts of first responders. Isn't it interesting? 350 children at the St. Helene Orphanage. Okay, down here, Friends of the Orphans, St. Helene. 350 children are safe and have sustained no injuries, and the complex is intact. But wait a minute. I thought it collapsed, according to Laura Silsby's quote-unquote lawyer. Okay. That just happens to be, wanted and facing sex trafficking charges in El Salvador. Isn't this interesting? Just happens to be wanted by Interpol. So now we take this down to New Life Children's Refuge, Haitian Orphan Rescue Mission. This was the original rescue mission. Okay, this is really important. It says Sunday, January 23rd, they want to drive the bus from Santo Domingo into Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and gather 100 orphans from the streets and of collapsed orphanages, then return to the Dominican Republic. The Haiti team makes up Laura Silsby and a bunch of other people, but the most important one we're going to concentrate on right now is Laura Silsby. She's basically the orchestrator of this team. Okay, so now if you go back up, keep in mind the number went from 450 children to 350 children. 100 children, were just randomly disappeared. And it said 350 children were all safe, so where are the other 100? Now, is this no evidence, or is this something we should ask serious questions about where these 100 children went? Because I think this is evidence of something that we need to ask more questions about. So if you're one of those people that says there's no evidence of anything, consider this. I bet you didn't know this, because if you knew this, you wouldn't be saying that there's no evidence of. So then we go down, and there's this girl, Molly, who gives Haitian children her all. So Molly is no longer able to add to her blog. Her body was recovered from the wreckage of the Father Owassen Center in, I don't know how to say that, Petionville, Haiti, following the January 12th earthquake. So she died, okay? She is in this picture, where it says, this is Aaron and Molly on their way to see Bill Clinton at one of our street schools. All right. So the Evangelical Adoption Campaign. Bill Clinton works to spur U.S. missionaries charged with kidnapping in Haiti. The case highlights a new evangelical strategy: adopt third world babies and convert them. Under the guise of religion, huh? Well, we have some more connections here because William, and by the way, it says here, I almost forgot to mention it, Bill Clinton was scheduled to privately visit somebody at Friends of the Orphans 2 months before the earthquake. As you can see, that's what this is talking about, November 27th. So, we go back down. William Jefferson Clinton, Goodwill for Haiti Award. And it was given in 2012 to Gina Harity. Now, this goes, it says the Mayo community to get behind fundraisers to relieve Haiti distress. It says by Bill Clinton. Shows the Clinton Foundation, has the Clinton Foundation raised millions of dollars. So Bill Clinton basically launched a campaign, a $10 million fundraiser, I should say, for Gina Harity, and also gave her an award. And we go down here. Gina Harity attacked in Haitian orphanage. It says Gina is the director of special needs programs with the charity NPFS. As you can see, it says Nos Petites, can't quite make it out, but Frères et Sœurs or something like that. I don't even speak close to French. And the direct translation is Our Little Brothers and Sisters, but remember, it is Friends of the Orphans is what you'd call it in the United States in English. In Haiti, she was beaten as she forgot to protect the children in her care at Quai Christine, a home for special needs children at the St. Helene Orphanage. She's the manager of the St. Helene Orphanage, where 100 children disappeared. That is what we're getting from this. So, just to bring this back, Molly was killed in the wreckage here, and she was sent to at Father Wasson Center, which is that's the Friends of the Orphans Center that we're talking about. Then she was set to meet Bill Clinton, and then Bill Clinton came down and rescued the missionaries charged with kidnapping in Haiti that she was killed at. Okay. So it shows that Bill Clinton had previous ties to this orphanage before, because this is before the earthquake, this is after. And then he has this award that he gave out to Gina Harity and created a $10 million fundraiser for her. And then after giving her this award, and she happens to be the manager of this St. Helene Orphanage, where 100 of the children disappeared. And that's going back up to here, where there were 450, and then all of a sudden there were only 350. Yet, all were safe and sustained no injuries. And the complex was intact, but remember, according to Laura Silsby's lawyer, Jorge Puello, who is wanted for sex trafficking in El Salvador, it had collapsed. So none of this is adding up. And now we go down here and it says, Vern, Mary Sue, and Thomas are a family that have ties to NPFS and Father Rick. They recently moved to the Dominican Republic, where Mary Sue works at the embassy, and visited us earlier this week. When Vern heard I was heading to there this month, he offered to let, I'm sorry, it's hard to make some of these words out with this line, but offered to let me stay with them for a weekend, which I am very excited and grateful for. Apparently, Santo Domingo is a very safe and interesting city and has a McDonald's. I'm excited to head there next weekend to see the NPH home and see the city. I hope they have a Starbucks and a Diet Dr. Pepper too. The end. Miss you all. This was posted by Molly, who, remember, Molly was killed. This is Molly, and this is Molly. And guess who worked at the U.S. Embassy in the Dominican Republic during the earthquake? It was Mary Sue Conaway. Okay, where it's the inspection of Embassy, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Consular Mary Sue Conaway. So, says Miss Silsby said her authorization to collect Haitian orphans and bring them to the Dominican Republic was from an unnamed Dominican official, according to Miss Dasky's email. I informed her that this would be, basically a blogger. I informed her that this would be regarded as illegal even with some Dominican minister authorization, since the children are Haitian. Miss Diadisky wrote, adding that she directed Miss Silsby to UN agencies helping the Haitian government handle orphans and adoptions. In a telephone interview, Miss Diadisky said she recalled Miss Silsby's response. We have been sent by the Lord to rescue these children, and if it is in the Lord's plan, we will be successful. So she's playing up the religion there. But this is a blogger who really knew her stuff. She was basically an expert in all kinds of trafficking, whether it was human, sex, labor. And she actually went to Haiti, and she was killed. Well, she died, and they called it a suicide. And there's a whole situation with that where it's at first, it's not really clear that, it was a legitimate suicide. There's some questions about that. So if you follow this woman, there's like a whole another rabbit hole there. Now you go to, but we're following Mary Sue Conaway here. So here you have the consular corner, the OIG inspection report of the Embassy of Santo Domingo, Consul General Mary Sue Conaway. Okay. And here it says Mary Sue Conaway. She's got a lot of titles. She does a lot of stuff. Abduction Chief, Office of Children's Issues at the U.S. Department of State. Okay. Getting pretty interesting, given what we know about Laura Silsby. And come down here, and the list of names of CIA and Mossad officers around the world. Mary Sue Conaway, CIA. That kind of puts this all in perspective. So where children were being illegally trafficked by Laura Silsby, she had a connection to Mary Sue Conaway and a plan involving Mary Sue Conaway, who is CIA, literally. So take that over here. Thomas and Vern, remember up here, Vern and Thomas are the family with Mary Sue. Thomas is a child. Or the son is not a child. Says a secret NPH task force for special operations. Many rumors are still circulating within the extended NPH volunteer community regarding the outstanding weekend retreats the Conaway family, namely Mary Sue, Vern, and their son Thomas, provided throughout the 1990s to the volunteers who served in the NPH Mexico home. So, remember, NPH is the name of the mother company and or the mother organization, and so there's a USA base, a Mexico base. So this particular one, they're talking about NPH Mexico. It's based in Mexico City. The Conaways generously invited volunteers to spend their weekends in their family home, and the concomitant rest, change, and treats were highly appreciated. Wonder what kind of treats they were having. So the Clinton-Silsby trafficking scandal and how the media attempted to ignore and cover it up. This was an abstract written by someone from Zero Hedge. It says, contrary to report, because this is dealing with, if you remember back when the media was really trying to make Pizzagate look like just some conspiracy theory, which, I mean, they still do, but this is when it was like really, really bad. So it says, contrary to reports in the media, the crowdsourced investigation labeled by some as Pizzagate did not begin with internet sleuths digging through the WikiLeaks Podesta files, releases looking for pizza parlors and encoded language discussing human trafficking. It began with the shocking discovery that Hillary and Bill Clinton provided assistance to convicted child trafficker Laura Silsby, resulting in a reduced sentence for child trafficking. Silsby was arrested at the Haitian border attempting to smuggle 33 children out of Haiti without documentation. Her sentence and charges were reduced after an intervention by Bill Clinton. In the aftermath of Silsby's arrest, her originally retained lawyer Jorge Puello was arrested in connection with an international smuggling ring accused of trafficking women and minors from Central America and Haiti. And actually, it was more than just that. It was all over Latin America. The revelation of this news in November was either ignored by the Western media or attacked by Clinton-controlled publications. And by Clinton-controlled publications, they're talking about organizations like Media Matters for America, which, remember, is controlled by David Brock. I think it's up here somewhere. David Brock, who dated James Alefantis, and that's where you get into the McCabboy connection and all of this stuff up here. So, and that's where you get into the Frank Winston relevance, where he had been accusing James Alefantis of lying, cheating, stealing, spitting, and a customer's food, and encouraging both murders and rapists. So it certainly looks like when they broke up and David Brock got $850,000, that it was blackmail, a blackmail settlement. So this is what we have. I tried to explain it. I just gave myself a reminder, this is older information. So sorry if I missed something or messed something up, but it's just meant to be a reminder for you guys who already knew what a lot of this information was, and this abstract does a good job of summarizing what all of this is proving. So all of this is proving this abstract. And then it says, just an extra nugget. And Laura Silsby currently works for AlertSense at Amber Alerts, changing her name to Laura Gaylor. So AlertSense helped create Amber Alerts, basically, and she works there. Kind of interesting. And if you're wondering where, if you're wondering where the government intervention and, deep state connections are, remember that Mary Sue Conaway, she's CIA, and she's heavily involved in NPH, which is where Laura Silsby was effectively getting children from, and where Laura Silsby's lawyer gave misinformation about the damage to the he actually stated that there was the collapse of the orphanage. So which was contradictory to other information that was released. Because actually, if I remember right, it's actually Puelo was actually telling the truth, and it was a slip up, and they were actually giving misinformation that the complex was intact, because we later found pictures of where the complex was actually damaged, which is why this woman died. So anyways, there's a lot of information there, but if I mess something up, let me know and I'll try to remake it. But hopefully that gets you on track and keeps in mind, why we're investigating Pizzagate, Pedogate, Little Lives Matter, whatever you want to call it. It's taken on many names, but there is real evidence here of wrongdoing, and this is just one graphic of, one small abstract here. There are many of these graphics that we could go back and go through. I mean, if you want to go all through Jorge Puelo, there's a whole mess with him, and that rabbit hole is deep. He wasn't actually a lawyer. He was just pretending to be one, and just happened to be, wanted for sex trafficking in El Salvador. It's almost like they were connected, him and Silsby. And, these are the kinds of people that the Clintons are getting off and giving reduced sentences to. Because remember, Silsby could have had, her penalties were actually reduced. And it's not in this graphic, but there's information out there that we found that basically there were letters given to the media members, some journalists secretly, where some of these missionaries, not named Laura Silsby, feared for their lives, where there was they were scared of Silsby, and they said there was extortion going on, and they feared for their lives and all kinds of things. So there's a whole issue with that. Interestingly enough, Carissa Coulter, who was kind of, Laura Silsby's second-hand man, she actually went and wrote a book about all of this later. It's pretty interesting. So there's a book out there of that, and there's like a lot of information in that kind of contradicts a lot of what the media says. So if you ever want, good information, go and look up that book. So I'll talk to you guys later, but this hopefully is a reminder of, why we're fighting, a lot of the evidence that is out there, how this isn't just some crazy conspiracy. There's a lot to this, and hopefully for the people who say there's no evidence of anything, keep this in mind. There's evidence of a lot. This is weird. This is not normal. And this just isn't weird in the way that, James Alefantis is into all this, kind of satanic stuff, and it's not weird in that way. This is weird, and there's something wrong here. There are 100 missing children somewhere, just randomly. How there was a misreported. That's the biggest thing for me. Why was a misreport right here? So that there are about 450 children. It's misreported down to 350. And then just a coincidence that about 100 children is what Laura Silsby's goal was. This is what really gets me. So anyways, I will talk to you guys later. I might make more Pizzagate videos to remind you guys of some older information, but this is where it's at in terms of the motherload of hard evidence. There were actual convictions. Silsby was actually convicted. Sure, she got a reduced sentence and never really had to serve time. She was just, her sentence was like time served basically, but she was still convicted. And her lawyer, that wasn't actually a lawyer, was actually convicted of human smuggling in the United States. So there's some real hard evidence. And to have a fake lawyer, I mean, a guy who's not licensed for law, that's just weird. Where all of the other missionaries had an actual lawyer, but Laura Silsby didn't want that person. Kind of weird, isn't it? She went through like 2 or 3 different lawyers. So I'll talk to you guys later.